Hey, good morning and welcome back. Today we're going to do a lesson on writing the equation of a line given 2 points. Okay, so whenever you write the equation of a line, there's two things you always need to know. You need to know the slope and you need to know the y-intercept. As long as you have those two things, you can write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. Okay, and from there, you could also rewrite it to put it in standard form, but we're just going to focus on slope-intercept form. Now, since they gave us 2 points, the first thing you want to do anytime you start off with 2 points is find the slope, okay? So what you're going to see me do first, I'm going to write x1, y1. I'm going to label my points. This is going to be x2, y2, okay? That's going to always be one of the first things I do. Next, because I know I need to find the slope first, I'm going to go ahead and write out the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now from here, because I've already labeled everything, okay, I know what numbers to substitute into my formula. Now, I just want to highlight this. The minus signs in the formula have to stay there. Sometimes people get confused and think they change or something happens to it. Those have to stay no matter what the values of the other, like y2, x1, x2, y1, any of those, okay? So let's go ahead and jump in and see what happens here. This is going to become 6 minus 5. And, nope, excuse me, not 6 minus 5. But 10 minus 5, okay? 10 minus 5. Y2 is 10. Y1 is 5. Now, x2 is 6. And then we have to minus x1 is negative 4, okay? So sometimes you can write it like that. Other times you may see people put the parentheses around the negative. That's really up to your discretion. But either way, because we have the double negatives here, when we simplify, the numerator is going to become 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. But on the bottom, we have to rewrite that to say 6 plus 4. And when we simplify that, that becomes, that becomes 5 over 10. And simplifying that further, that makes 1/2. So our slope, given these 2 points, is 1/2. That's one part of the information that we need. Remember, we need a slope and we need a y-intercept. So we got the slope first. Now we need to get that y-intercept, okay? So that's what I'm going to work on next. Now, in order to get the y-intercept, I need the slope and I need one of the 2 points that were given. So I could use this point right here, or I could use the second point. It does not matter. Either one that I use in addition to the slope is going to help me find the y-intercept, okay? So what I'm going to do at this point for this, because there's 2 problems here. So for this problem, I'm going to use the slope and the first point, but I'm going to use the slope-intercept formula, okay? In the second problem, I'm going to use the point-slope formula. But for this example, let's go ahead and keep it going. I'm going to use, what's that, negative 4 and positive 5. So let's see here. I'm going to rewrite my formula. It's y equals mx plus b. We said that our slope, which we already know is 1/2, and the point that we chose, or that I chose, was negative 4, comma, positive 5. Okay? So with that being said, now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to substitute. This is x, that's y, and here's m. I'm going to substitute each of those values into the formula. So y is 5, m is 1/2, x is negative 4, and then you still have plus b. And the reason I write it like this is because I want you to see there's that part, Here's the next part. I'm just going to write right over top of that. And here's x. I'm just substituting those values into the formula. That's all I'm doing every time I rewrite it. That's why it's so important to know your formulas. Now, going from there, I can go ahead and solve for b by simplifying. So 5 equals half of -4. Anytime you multiply 1/2 times a number, you're always taking half of that number. So half of -4 is -2. And that's plus b. And then to solve for b, I want to add 2 to both sides. B is equal to 7, okay? So with that being said, now I have my y-intercept, which is the second half of the information that we need. Remember, we always need the slope and we need the y-intercept to write the equation of a line. So now that I have these two pieces here, my slope is equal to 1/2 and b is equal to 7. When I plug those into this formula here, just m and b, I will have my final answer, my equation of my line, which is y equals 1/2 x plus 7. And that's how we get the equation of a line. Now, when we do this second one, no matter what, we still need the same two pieces of information. We need our slope and we need our y-intercept. So the first thing we always need to start off doing is getting the slope, okay? And m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And then we want to go ahead and just start substituting those values in. So that becomes -2 minus -8. And why do I keep making that mistake? Let me take my time here. It should be -2 minus 12. And in the denominator, it's going to be -1 minus -8. Okay? All right. And just to point out, as you see, it's very easy to make these simple mistakes. So always double check and read what you're writing. Because a little mistake like that, you could do all the work after that correctly and still have the incorrect answer. So just always be aware to go back and double check your work as you're doing your work, okay? Now, getting back to our problem, the numerator, -2 minus -12, that becomes, minus 12 becomes -14. Divided by, now in the denominator, once again, we have those double negatives, so we need to rewrite that. That would become -1 plus 8. That would make -14 divided by -7. The denominator would be -7. And then a negative divided by a positive 7, not a -7. Positive 7, okay? And a negative divided by a positive makes -2, okay? So now we know that our slope is equal to -2. Now, as I said before, when we go to this second step, like I did in the first problem, I used slope-intercept form. When I do the second step here, I'm going to use the point-slope formula, which is just another formula that you can use to also help you write the equation of a line. Now, once again, you always need the slope. And I need one of the points, any one of the points. This time, I'm going to use the second point. So our second point this time is -1, -2. Okay? And let's go ahead and I need to write out the point-slope formula. Point-slope formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and simply, one more thing, we need to label the point that we selected. This is going to be x1. This is going to be y1. And really and truly, I could have already chosen this first point because it's already labeled x1 and y1, but it's still up to you which ordered pair you choose, Okay, once again, as long as you have the slope and one of the points that were given, you can use either the point slope formula or the slope intercept formula. But this time, we're using the point slope formula. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and start substituting values in. So as I do that, just want to emphasize these minus signs here have to remain there when you're substituting the values. If you need to rewrite it, then you rewrite it after you substitute. Oops. Sorry. Trying to erase this. There we go. Let's get that there. And now I can go ahead, because I have double negatives, okay? Because of the double negatives, those have to change to positives. So that's going to become y plus 2 equals negative 2 times x plus 1. And now I can distribute negative 2 times x, negative 2 times positive 1. That would become negative 2x. This would become negative 2. And on the left side, we would still have y plus 2. And let me go ahead and put my line down the middle, because that's something I do whenever we solve equations. It just helps emphasize the left and the right side. But now, to finish this, we just have to finish solving for y. So we're going to subtract this 2 from both sides. Those 2's cancel out on the left. And that becomes y equals negative 2x minus 4. And that would be our final answer here. Okay, final answer. That would be our equation of a line. So as you can see, there's multiple ways to, it's 2 things you always need, the slope and the y-intercept. As long as you find those 2 things, you can write the equation of a line. Now, how you go about finding the y-intercept could be different depending on if you use the slope-intercept formula or the point-slope formula.